Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 256th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Somewhat's. I am the host of this lovely show. Joining with me, as always, is my good buddy and friend, Mr. Floyd Johnson Jr. My man, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm feeling pretty good because, let me tell you, we just, according to the internet, the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, and I was at this point in time. I was at this point in time where I could have watched the fight, or I could get a little nap in before we did the show, right? And I chose nap. So after seeing the results on Facebook and Twitter, again, I did not watch the show, watch it at all. I think I made the right decision.
Correct.
Like
1,000%.
Yeah, no, and again, I cannot say anything about what happened because I didn't watch it. I can only talk about, only thing I can react to is the fans, the people that did watch it, reaction, which no one seemed to have left satisfied. The only two people that seem to have left satisfied from their arena is Jake Paul and Mike Tyson because they're very satisfied with their bank accounts.
Yeah, I'm sure Logan's pretty satisfied too.
Yes, and Logan's satisfied too. But Logan's like, yeah, it's just like I said, it's hilarious. Me and you were talking about it before we press record, and I will quickly get past this. We knew exactly how that we had nothing to do with it. Neither one of us are into the fights, but we knew exactly how it wasn't, because if you couldn't recognize that this was a pro wrestling production, you are slow. That's how I'm just gonna say. This was a pro wrestling production from the beginning. Jake Paul was the heel. Mike Tyson was the old guy. Was the old fan favorite. Going out for one more match, and yeah, everybody just wanted to see Mike Tyson look like Mike Tyson one more time. And what they didn't realize,
knock the arrogant prick Jake Paul, who could basically be Roddy Piper on this show. And they wanted to see Jake Paul get knocked out by Iron Mike Tyson. And what did you get?
Yeah, and the reality is, as me and you just said less than 5 minutes ago, there is no money in Jake Paul getting knocked out. That is a terrible scenario for Jake Paul. There is a terrible scenario for the promoters if Jake Paul gets knocked out. Because once he gets knocked out, once someone finally does it, the story's over. No one cares anymore. So it's just like, he can keep milking it like dude, because just think about it. You know, what they put into it. Let's just say they do 3-4 more of these shows before people finally catch on and it finally has a number that tanks or whatever, right?
Right.
Dude, just think about how much money you're getting out of this. So I tip my hat to them. You know, this is pro wrestling. This is a very new version of pro wrestling. Apparently the matches or the fights before the undercard seem to be really good and well received. Again, shout out to everybody, because I don't have any problem with people making money. But when it's something to me so obvious, it is so obvious a work, I don't understand how people still get worked.
Yep. And again, like we said too, is like we are professional wrestling fans, and everyone goes to professional wrestling fans who don't watch it and go like, how I don't understand how you can enjoy something that's so fake. Folks, we just saw AT&T Stadium get packed out and people spend money on a Netflix stream that barely worked, and to some people just didn't work at all, and spent $60, and whoever spent money to go to the show even more money.
All the new Netflix subscribers, you know, all the different things that they got from it.
And you got worked into seeing a 58-year-old man in the ring with an influencer that nobody, to my knowledge, likes genuinely, unless you're under the age of 15. Just basically commit elder abuse in the middle of a 4x4 ring. Never talk to me about how pro wrestling is whatever the hell you think it is if you spent money willingly on that. If you got enjoyment out of it, more power to you. But yeah, we don't need to waste any more time on that.
Yes, this is the AEW podcast.
That was the most carny shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Come one, come all.
Dude.
See the senile biting man fight the Paul brother.
Dude, if it was genius, then they didn't need a writer or anyone to do it. And Jake Paul just goes out there and screams nonsense. And yeah, even Mike Tyson before the fight said legacy and stuff doesn't matter. He was trying to let you know.
Clearly, if he's taking this fight.
Yes, get that money, baby. I'm happy for Mike Tyson. He brought me a lot of joy through my life, whether it was in boxing, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, the video game, or the stuff he did with wrestling. He brought me a lot of joy. So, hey, the fact that the old guy could get another payday, I'm all for it. It's just, yeah, I had zero interest in actually watching it. I didn't even have that, some people had that, oh, well, I already have Netflix. It didn't cost me anything. Cool. That's fine. But yes, I am happy for them because they're going to do this again and they're going to make way more money on it. I don't know who the guy's going to be this time, but it's going to happen. And
shout out to that one reporter though who asked the legitimate question to Jake Paul of when are you going to fight somebody your age in your weight class and who's a legitimate contender, to which Paul of course went the MJF route of being like, what are you saying? This guy isn't, you saying Mike Tyson isn't a contender? He's the greatest of all time.
Yes.
You know, how he's basically just like a fragile old man.
Yes, and then there is no reason for Jake Paul to fight someone that could actually beat him. There's no reason.
Because who would pay money to see that?
Exactly. So,
you know the outcome of that too.
Yes. So,
regardless, we are going to put that off to the side and let it rot in the dumpster while people inevitably get work to buy the next Jake Paul fight anyway. So it is what it is. We got a lot to get into. We are just counting down to AEW Full Gear. Matches getting announced. The Continental Classic is just moments away from coming back, and I'm dying for it to start too. We got a lot to get into, but first, we want to make sure you guys are downloading this fine show on Google app, on YouTube Music or Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify, wherever you choose to listen to us, please give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Rate, review, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. We are at AT Elite Pod. You can also follow at Social Suplex, who make this show possible, and check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ, and Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And of course, big news of the week is the fact that we are counting down to AEW Full Gear coming up. But we also can talk about how the Continental Classic, I'm interested because I know we've talked a little bit about the Continental Classic and like where we think it's kind of going to go and all that kind of stuff. Do you have an idea of like who the people you want to see in the Continental Classic this time around? I know we've touched on it a little bit on the show.
The person I want to see most in it is Takeshita. And since he's already a champion, I don't think we're going to see him. Like, I always want him to lose to Ricochet so he can be in the Continental Classic.
Right.
Yeah, so, no, I mean, that's the person I'm most excited for in it. Claudio, always. He's just, I want to see, I want to see, we've been sincerely lacking, to me, elite level professional wrestling we're used to on AEW. And I think to me, I don't know if it's on purpose, but if it is, I think it's smart because when you have this Continental Classic come through, you're going to be able to really show what makes AEW better than everyone else. But
and I was gonna say I have seriously, no joke, been like itching for the Continental Classic to come back just because I can't wait for me to tune into Dynamite and consistently have matches where like everything means so much for each one of these matches. It worked so well last year, and I just feel like it's going to do the same exact thing this year. And I think you're right. Takeshita being in the Continental Classic, I feel like is a must. And even if he is a champion, I would still want him there. But we'll see if they even decide to do that. But regardless, when the field gets announced, though, I'm just gonna be itching for like the matches and then just having on the website the whole the little like full screen with the point system and everything like that. I'm missing that. Like I can't wait for when we get that in just a few weeks time. I feel like.
Just think who's not champions that could be in it. You got Kyle Fletcher, you got Will Ospreay, you got MJF, you got Adam Cole, you got Swerve. You got, and like I said, these are people that you just got to think about people that aren't champions.
Sure.
Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy,
Hook.
Yeah, Hook. I mean,
Shibata.
Yeah, you could clearly do, 10 men or whatever. I don't know what they're going to end up doing, but it is so loaded with people that aren't champions right now that you can do a full-on Continental Classic. And the great thing is you start off with Kazuchika Okada, one of the best tournament wrestlers ever. If you wanted to, because it seems like he's available and running with AEW and in America, Tomohiro Ishii, if you don't know and you don't keep up with New Japan, he's considered one of the greatest G1 wrestlers ever, and basically Continental Classic is the AEW version of the G1. I am really looking forward to this, and it's just like the build up, and it's starting the night before Thanksgiving in Chicago, where it needs to start. But like I said this last year when they did it for the first time. I want a release show. I want a 30-minute hour YouTube release show where they talk about the individuals and they break it down, and then maybe each week do a breakdown of the results. And maybe that might be asking too much, but I just think AEW this is their thing. This is going to be their tent pole. I think this is going to be the one way that they're different than any other American company. So they really have to drive home how big this is.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. We'll now transition over into AEW Dynamite at Bridgeport, Connecticut. Do you want to touch on this before we even get to the matches about the crowd? Because I know we DM'd about it.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd wasn't great. Now this is a chicken and egg situation. Is the crowd not great because they're not like AEW's not hot, or was this this was a bad crowd? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
AEW's not hot right now. WWE is the hot product. I have no problem admitting that. My head's not up and far up my ass, so I can admit that. But I thought from top to bottom, this was a good to great Dynamite, and the crowd was very non-responsive of the Dynamite. It was just a lot of time, a lot of sitting on their hands and just watching. And it's funny because wrestling, unlike any other thing, sport or whatever, the crowd can make everything so much better, and it's just like this crowd did not help this show along at all.
No, it did not. It did not work out that well. Yeah, no, and I too can attest to like the show was solid. I felt like, but man, we always talk about how a great crowd can turn a okay show into an amazing show. That was not the case with this crowd, unfortunately. I'm sure it didn't go over too well, too, when somebody on the show also called it Stanford instead of Bridgeport.
See, and someone pointed that out to me. I was like, at least he got a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. They freaked out about that.
So at least he got them to say something, because they wasn't saying anything before then.
Correct. And I feel like part of me was like, I think he might have done that on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, so now we'll move into our opening contest of the show, which opened up with Switchblade Jay White, Juice Robinson, the Bang Bang Gang, facing off against Hangman Adam Page and the Patriarchy Christian Cage. This match was built off of the idea of just Christian Cage and Hangman. Would they be able to just kind of coexist and be able to just work in with everything and just being able to be reserved because, they're supposed to hate each other. But that did not really work out too much for them as the match came on, because it just kept going and going and going. But Christian Cage and Hangman were able to still come out on top and get the victory. I thought this was a fun opening match. I liked how Nick Wayne was getting involved, and the sneak up of Hook I thought was an amazing spot. I thought they did a great job of just how that was shot and how he snuck up on Nick Wayne and just started choking him out, and they were fighting to the back. I think the intensity of all guys in the match were really, really strong. I love that we just get Juice in the ring too, because I love this recent ability of just I've missed Juice for a while, so I've been wanting to see Juice back in the ring for quite some time. But eventually the finish comes down where Christian grabs Jay White from behind and gets the kill switch. Juice makes the save, but eventually hits the Blade Runner into the barricade. Mother Wayne, though, comes up, gets distracted, gets the referee distracted while Kip Sabian hits the contract case and hits Juice in the head with that shit. And then that's where Hangman hits the Deadeye and seals the victory for his team. I thought it was a fun opening contest, though, and I like the use of Hangman and Christian teaming up with each other, and Hangman just continuing to still riding high after that. He has just continued to be like one of the most pushed guys after he got the unsanctioned win in the steel cage over Swerve Strickland. He is still one of the most dangerous men in AEW, I feel like.
So this was a very solid match, but the Kip Sabian establishing them as part of Christian's patriarchy. So he had a hand in the result of the match. Heyman getting a clean pin over Juice Robinson, but still not being able to pin Jay White. All that was great. My problem is, about 30 minutes before the show, maybe an hour, they announced the first 30 minutes of this AEW broadcast was going to be commercial free, right?
Yes.
And I just remember, again, companies change, companies evolve. But I remember old AEW when they would do a match, let's say 30 minutes, right?
Right.
And they just start with two guys in the ring and they just bang. And they just go out and have a banger, 15, 20-minute banger, right? And for somebody, right now, a lot of competition on TV or whatever, TV, all the sports and stuff, and you're trying to keep people's attention, right? You get the lead in, you're trying to keep people's attention.
Yeah.
I think it should have been Swerve and Leo Rush in this spot.
I agree. I think that would have been a much faster paced and interesting opening match comparatively than this tag match, which again, you were right, is still really good, but I do think it would have been a lot more entertaining of an opening if you went out and had Leo Rush and Swerve open up the show. I 1,000% agree with you. I think that would be the much better decision to go with instead of,
because if you're not going to start with the two guys in the ring, you start off with the most over entrance in your company, and
correct.
The most over entrance in your company is Swerve Strickland, whose house, Swerve's house. You have that happen. You have Leo Rush. They go out there and they put on this exciting match. They do the same match that they did, right? And then guess what? You have your in that first 30 minutes commercial free, when you assume you're going to have the most eyes, you have your newly established group of the Hurt Syndicate come out. Very familiar to some people that might not watch AEW every week. Those are familiar faces: MVP Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. I think you do that same segment the same way, but you do it to open the show, and maybe you keep more eyes. Maybe it gets the crowd off to that more exciting vibe. Right. Because they used to have more entrances like that in AEW, where they could start the show off with that entrance, and crowds will pop. I remember FTR was hot for a while. Of course, Bryan Danielson. There was always those ones where
MJF.
MJF. You'd hear that music, and it was guaranteed to get the crowd started on the right foot. And I just thought, man, I love Hangman, love Christian. Love the Bang Bang Gang. I have no problem with any of those acts, but basically, you're talking about their entrances. First of all, not really being super, super over, and second of all, they all work a very slow style. know, Christian and Jay White, pretty much classic heel wrestlers. They wrestle a heel style. You know, Hangman like that. Maybe you start off with Hangman and Juice just beating the shit out of each other. Maybe that's another way to do it with the same 4 people, but it's just that type of match wasn't the match you should kick off your 30 minutes commercial free with.
Yeah, and I think that people are going to be much more engaged with a singles match than a tag team match. As much as both me and Floyd love tag team wrestling, I just feel like the smarter move to open a show is always going to be the singles match, I feel like. Specifically because they're both guys that are just like super over in that regard. So I agree with you, but that's not to take away from the fact that this match still wasn't a good, fun opening.
And it was a great, it was a very good chapter in the continued story as you build to Full Gear. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this match shouldn't have happened. I'm just saying if you flip this match with where Swerve and Leo Rush was, I believe the show flows better. And that's all I
do as well. I do as well.
Yeah. So that was just a thought. As I was watching live, that was a thought as I was watching the show. It wasn't like, I was like, they started with this match? And I'm watching it and it was like, okay, no, this is not like, if you're going to do those 4, it probably needed to be a plunder match or something like that where you just had like a lot of tables and chairs and that shit. So.
No, I'm right there with you, though. We move over to a backstage segment. Renee Paquette back to interview the CEO, Mercedes Moné. And she's got next to Camille, who's now got her arm in a sling after she was called out for Camille trying to run over Chris Statlander. And basically was like, no, Camille is just a shitty driver. And basically pushes her aside, super rude to Camille, but eventually Chris Statlander comes up and starts fighting and sneaks up, basically is right over the shoulder of Mercedes as she's talking, and then proceeds to go after the CEO and Camille, and then eventually they spear Camille in through a wall and then just pushes through, and they're all knocked out. It's a really, really fun little moment. Chris building up heat for her match against the CEO, Mercedes Moné, for the TBS Championship at Full Gear. And I thought it was all right. I thought it was, as much as it's like, we know like the logistics of the wall spot, it's fun. And I like it when they do it. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. And I need to see Chris Statlander get a little bit of heat in this, because I felt like this could be much bigger, and it just hasn't reached that point to me. And again, it firmly comes down to me too. I was surprised when they just, without notice, turned Chris into a babyface after her heel win over Willow Nightingale. That still didn't sit right to me, but it doesn't mean I'm not excited for the match. I think it's going to be really, really strong for Full Gear. But this was a fun little backstage segment. I thought I like the wall spot, even though it's very contrived and clearly that wall was not there beforehand. But I thought it was fun.
Oh, and segment was fine. It tried to establish Chris Statlander as a credible threat going forward. Don't get me wrong. Again, I just think there's kind of a feud problem in AEW right now. Like,
correct.
I think people are mismatched right now, and this is a feud. Chris Statlander, they did not do enough to establish her as a babyface and someone that you wanted to root for before putting her in this thing with Mercedes Moné. No one's rooting for Chris Statlander. No one wants Chris Statlander to win. No one is like, man, I can't wait for Chris Statlander to get her hands on Mercedes. And the thing with Camille, that's happened too fast. Mercedes turning on Camille and hating her and all that stuff. I think that happened too fast. I think, again, personal opinion, they should have built to Chris Statlander versus Camille at the pay-per-view, right? And then Chris Statlander, and you establish Chris Statlander, they do this big match, maybe it's on the 0 hour, and they do this big match, and then you establish Chris Statlander going after Mercedes Moné at World's End, and now you have some excitement. I just don't think there's any heat behind this feud, because I don't think right now anyone cares about Chris Statlander because they were
Right.
just hating her, and you haven't given a reason to like her yet.
No, and my thoughts exactly with the fact of just, again, I'm always of the mindset of, if you're gonna, like, we make big deals about heel turns, you got to make big deals about face turns too. Like, you have to have a moment where that person is a good guy, because otherwise you're in a weird spot. You know what I mean?
You do a sit down interview where she apologizes to Willow. Have a backstage segment where she's like, "Oh, I got lost." Have her beat up Stokely, have her,
have her help Willow.
Yes, have her do something to make her a likable person. She did all this bad stuff. Now she's getting a title shot. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she's still a bad person. Far as
she still did all this stuff in the no disqualification match in the street fight.
Yeah, you skipped too many. I felt like the steps with Chris Statlander were skipped. I feel like steps with Camille are skipped to try to microwave this feud, and I just, for the most part, I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately so. But we move on now to an in-ring interview with the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. Obviously, he's been gone for a little bit, but he's got a lot of questions that he needs answers for. He talked about how Takeshita has the international championship, but first calls out Kyle Fletcher so that they can have a discussion. Kyle Fletcher proceeds to come out and be like, Don and the family begged me not to come out here by myself, but I have to prove I'm not a coward unlike you. You'd rather sit at home, lick your wounds than show up for these people, and I'm here to see you man to man, but just know the family's never far behind. So Ospreay goes and says, I've been in those Don Callis family meetings. You're not coming alone. You probably have something in your back pocket. I'm not going to touch you. Kyle pulls out a screwdriver, tosses it over to Will to kind of even the odds. And then there's a point too where he tosses the screwdriver out of the ring and it just lands dead straight into the padding on the floor, and it just stands straight up. Unbelievably incredible spot with
I need Will Ospreay is one of those people. I need him to be bad at something. That was a perfect
because I mean, you please at least tell me that was accidental.
Yes,
don't tell me, because I feel like that's something that he could figure out how to do just perfectly. Because dude, how the hell did that happen? Either way, Ospreay talks about how much these guys used to be brothers, friends. You lived in my house during the pandemic. I opened the door for you here. You know where my son goes to school, where I live. And Kyle basically said, Don opened my eyes to the truth. You did all that for me, but who were you doing it for? You were doing it for yourself, because everything's always about you. You turned me into your clone. I never succeeded as much as you did. You kept me locked under your wing. Look what you did to Okada and Omega. In my position, you would have done the exact same thing. Ospreay tells him to pick a lane. He's like, are you nothing like me, or are you just an Ospreay clone? And he did own the fact that he stabbed Omega and Okada in the back. But before that, I held golden accomplishments. What have you done? Not you and Mark Davis. What have you done? And then he goes on about how I'm going to do this, surpass you in every single accomplishment you've ever had, proving it at Full Gear. I want Kyle Fletcher against Will Ospreay. And Will says, okay, you want your 5 minutes of fame? Here it is. Around these parts, I'm called Mr. Pay-Per-View. So you want the match? I accept the challenge. And then goes and says, when I watched you shave your head, I looked down at my hand and my little boy was holding my hand. And I didn't feel it because of the Tiger Driver you gave me. I couldn't feel my little boy holding my hand. I'm going to take everything away from you at Full Gear. Kyle Fletcher says, I'm not just coming for a piece, I'm coming for everything. And that's when Lance Archer and Brian Cage jump into the ring, and it's 3-on-1. But Will Ospreay goes, I've got friends of my own. And he's got Mark Davis by his side and Powerhouse Hobbs on his side. And they start brawling to the back. Strong segment. Honestly, one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yes.
This was the feud where I'm like, okay, here we go. This is what we're looking for with AEW with their feuds. This is the level of stuff that we want. This is very easy to understand. It's been built up over natural amount of time, and we know the match is going to bang, but there's also like legit heat they're pushing towards the match as well. So like that's to the level of I'm like, okay, yes, this is a match I would put down money to go see for certain, and I know they're going to knock it out of the park. This to me was one of the best parts of the show.
Yes, I completely agree with that. This is one of the two legitimately hot feuds they have in AEW right now. Well, I guess there's like three legitimately hot feuds. I think this is great. This is needed. They're trying to establish Kyle Fletcher. They're trying to use Will Ospreay to do it. And Will Ospreay is not stupid babyface. You know, I hate stupid babyface. He's like, he come out there and then the four beat him up. I mean, that's what would generally happen. But he had his four friends, so that actually ends up working. I am looking forward to, first of all, this match is going to bang. It's going to add to Will Ospreay's match of the year contenders list or whatever. But most importantly is it feels hot going into the show.
Yes, no question about it. We then move directly, like literally as everyone's fighting to the back and everyone's beating the hell out of each other. That's when Roderick Strong then comes out with the Undisputed Kingdom, and he's got a kendo stick and starts fighting Lance Archer with the other teams. And Matt Taven and Mike Bennett even up the odds. And that's immediately when a referee comes out and it transitions directly into the match. They did this a couple times. So it happened with this match, and then it happened with the very next match. I'm going to obviously, like, the next match transitioned directly into the Konosuke Takeshita Adam Cole match. I want to know Floyd's feelings of how this was set up, because this was very much a deliberate decision they did for the show, and it was a creative move from Tony Khan to have brawls transition directly into matches and have it happen through three segments basically. So it goes from the fight from the Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher segment into Lance Archer versus Roderick Strong, and then immediately goes into another one with Konosuke Takeshita and Adam Cole transitioning into their match immediately after a fight or a jumping basically. Where was your mind at? Like, how did you like the way they set that up?
They have been doing this on Rampage the last few weeks, and I think they used Rampage as a test, and then they brought it to Dynamite. I love it because it does not give you a chance to turn the channel. It does not give you a chance to bore. You're like, oh, I wonder what's up next. Or they'll do a segment and come a commercial and it's like, oh, this match is next. And then you turn the channel because you have this period of time with the commercial. You don't know what's going on, or you're trying to excite it, or they give you a reason to turn the channel. But you know what? Everything happens out in the ring. It leads directly into the last match. It's a perfect way to basically keep a new viewer's attention, like a younger viewer's attention. It's like something's always happening. And they always say you got to have a hot beginning of your show, hot end of your show. What this does is keep the middle of the show entertaining. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was a creative move. I liked the decision to do it and all that. I kind of would have liked it spread out a little bit more, but obviously I do. It's very much a do not change the channel. You're not going to want to miss anything that is happening on this episode of Dynamite. And I think it was a smart decision to do because it kept the action up. And AEW always works best with matches upon matches, I feel like, and it just gets you engaged watching the great wrestling that's on this roster. So I think it was a really cool move. Obviously, I've been a little bit off with Rampage. I haven't been able to keep up with all of it, but I had seen them do it before. I hadn't seen them do it on Dynamite before, so it's cool that they actually moved that over and officially did that on Dynamite, and it worked. I think it worked out well, honestly.
This is what my takeaway was. I don't do a deep dive on ratings. I don't go look at the graphs and see when the quarter hours, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. So... But obviously someone saw in the ratings that they were losing people in the commercial break during the middle of the show, because it has been intentional for this part of the show. That the second, like that, I don't know, I guess third, fourth segment that leads into the second hour of the show to do what you can to keep the people from turning the channel.
Yeah. I think that's about as fair as you could possibly say. So going into the Don Callis family's Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer, against Undisputed Kingdom's Roderick Strong, going directly into that. I thought this match was another pretty decent match. I thought just they were able to really show the intensity of these guys as well. It's throwing me off too that right now Roderick Strong and the Undisputed Kingdom are kind of baby faces at this point because Adam Cole's a baby face. Again, that's just, I would have loved it if, like, from the moment Adam Cole returned and jumped MJF, if we just literally dissolved the Undisputed Kingdom and never talked about it again, just because obviously it was part of a feud that was supposed to happen. It didn't happen, and just basically was a giant mess of unfortunate circumstances and missed opportunities. But I digress. I still think this was solid. Obviously, continuing the push of all these hoops that MJF is continuing to have the Undisputed Kingdom and specifically Adam Cole jump through. So Roddy is able to work his way. They fought to the outside a lot, which I thought was really cool. And then the knee strikes that Roddy does always kills. I feel like it's one of my favorite things I see him do. But eventually he jumps over the barricade and hits a knee strike. I thought the match ended a little bit anticlimactically with this false count anywhere. Like, I loved how they moved all over the place, but I felt like it was just a little bit anticlimactic. The moment with them by the railing and the security guards that got chokeslammed on, I thought was a really, really awesome moment. But I felt like the match just kind of ended quick. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
it should have ended on a bigger spot. Lance Archer is one of my favorite television wrestlers. I just love him in everything that he does. And I thought, he was, again, great in this one. And this was Roger Strong. It was a solid match. And I think it would have, to me, it would have been good to great if the ending was better. If they had like a big dramatic like fall through a table and Roderick Strong gets the pin or something. But, I still like the match. The thing is, no one wants Roderick Strong in this feud.
Yeah, no, like I said, and again, like I said too, it's another instance of just, like I said, I don't know why we're still pushing the Undisputed Kingdom into stuff. I should have literally dissolved the instant Adam Cole came back as a babyface to feud with MJF, because that faction has no reason to exist.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, again, like Roddy Strong, one of the hardest workers. I want him in the
absolutely.
He's one of those people I want in the Continental Classic. Don't get me wrong. I don't want him involved in this feud. He is the thing they have. They probably have something planned, and I'm going to be like, man, that was genius after it happens. But watching it right now, I just don't want him in. He just feels like he doesn't belong in it. Him and MJF didn't have any beef. I mean, fucking.
Well, and again,
yeah.
I feel like it's clearly got to be leading to like, the Undisputed Kingdom turning specifically on Adam Cole, just because of like the whole, we did this whole thing for you, this devil mask shit, and then you left us high and dry, and now we have to fight your battles against the guy we were originally supposed to like beat the shit out of, but like this isn't what we started it for or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't care about Adam Cole feuding with those guys just because, again, the segment, like the storyline itself never was able to get off the ground because of Adam Cole's injury.
Yeah, like we're trying to let it cook, but it's just like, man, you got it in the pot and I'm in the living room and it smells like trash. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm trying to let you cook.
There's really not much to save it. At some point, you just got to throw it out and start over.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna, Roddy Strong doesn't have bad matches. Him and MJF, they have a match. It's probably going to be a great match. Don't get me wrong. I just don't care about it. I don't care if he wins. I don't care if he loses. And that's terrible. That's a terrible spot to be in when it comes to going into a pay-per-view.
I agree. I 1,000% agree. So eventually, though, after this match, when Roddy Strong gets the victory, he talks about how he's going to finish Max and finish his ass. That's when Takeshita comes out, blindsides Roderick Strong. That's when Adam Cole then comes out to save Roderick Strong, and that transitions immediately into Inosuke Takeshita versus Adam Cole.
And which I thought was probably the match of the night.
Match of the night, no question about it. I feel like it was a toss up between this or the Leo Rush Strickland match.
Yeah.
But but this was also just really, really good. And again, like it was just so awesome to see a guy like Takeshita, who I mean we've been high on for so long, against Adam Cole, who we've been dying to see at back with him being hurt for so long. It was interesting how they decided to go off of his entrance and then just have him continue to keep fighting Takeshita until he got to do the boom and the Adam Cole baby. Because God damn it, if they weren't going to get that pop, they wanted to get those the boom pop and the Adam Cole baby pop. So I thought that was pretty funny. Takeshita was laying into Adam Cole physically, I felt like, but Adam Cole still continuing to fight out of it. He goes to try to hit the boom. Takeshita rolls out of the ring. Takeshita then gets the Dynamite Diamond ring on his finger because he found it under the ring, hits Adam Cole and pins Adam Cole for the win. So it will be Roderick Strong versus MJF at Full Gear.
Absolutely shocking finish.
Yeah.
I do like that they're keeping Takeshita strong. The match was solid. I don't know Adam Cole. I don't know if he's struggling with his confidence, but I do know he's could have come back from a major injury, like a life-changing injury that might have ended his career. And then he's had other life-changing events happen in his life.
Yeah.
And you know, his first 2 matches back were not really well received. He needed a match like this. He needed He needed a match to say, hey, that Adam Cole that you love, that is one of the best wrestlers in the world, is still in here.
Yes, and there's so much I feel like for him to just build off of this, just like a hero's journey he can go on too, because I feel like it's just gonna make it that much more sweet for Adam Cole to be able to get his hands on MJF. And obviously now he doesn't have the 3-way, and now he's gonna have to find a different way to get his hands on MJF. Afterwards, Roderick Strong comes out, knocks out Takeshita, but Roderick gets hit with a low blow by Takeshita. Kyle O'Reilly then has a steel chair, chases off Takeshita. Ricochet comes out and hits Takeshita with a jumping kick and then takes his belt. Cole then offered to shake Kyle O'Reilly's hand, but he declines and leaves the ring, clearly still burnt over what happened from Adam Cole beforehand when he was the devil. So a very hectic, like, portion of this Dynamite all throughout this point. But I do think, like I said, Adam Cole needed this, obviously, because, you know, with him being out for so long, he needed to remind people, you guys, I was one of the biggest stars in AEW, and I still am, and I'm still one of the best wrestlers, and you guys are going to see amazing stuff from me in the coming weeks, in the coming months. So I do think this was probably... It's probably still number 2 for me, but I do understand completely why it was your favorite match of the night.
Yeah, shout out to Takeshita. I think it's just he's in this zone, and I think I remember Kenny Omega was in it, where there are so many moves right now that he does better than anybody else in the world. His elbow, his clothesline, his Blue Thunder Bomb, his Falcon Arrow. They're just, everything just looks better than everybody else's. It's like, if I'm a wrestler, I don't want Takeshita to do a move that I do because it's going to look better than Will Ospreay. Yeah, Kenny Omega, the best wrestlers in the world over my time of really understanding what the best wrestler in the world looks like, have this thing where they just do so much stuff better than everybody else, and Takeshita's in that zone right now. I was loved that the ending of this match was unpredictable. I truly thought Adam Cole was going to find a way, and I just knew it didn't make sense in my mind because Takeshita's the international champion. The international champion shouldn't lose. You know what I mean? You just established him, and then he didn't lose, and I was like, as much as, you know, like, I just assumed Adam Cole was going to win, I was so happy I was wrong. I do think if they're going to build to Adam Cole in MJF, I had to stop right after. This thing started at World's End, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't it end at World's End? Why wouldn't you do?
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Why wouldn't you do MJF versus Adam Cole at World's End? That's where it should end. And you give Adam Cole a few more weeks, a little over a month, to really get all the rest of the ring rust off so they can have the match that they wanted to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like everything just lines into place for that, doesn't it?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
We move on to a sit-down interview with the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, accompanied by MVP and Shelton Benjamin. And MVP builds up Bobby, saying how he's one of the most decorated champions in the history of the sport. He's going to end a man's career in 10 days. And Bobby goes and says, I will hurt Swerve and make an example of him. And he's like, we will be watching Swerve later tonight.
I need Renee to remind people who her husband is. When they're disrespecting her, just be like, you know who I'm married to, right? And I would love it as a thing that ties the whole show together. Like when they're really being an asshole to her, you know who my husband is, and then they shut up and they start really being nice to her.
I do think that would be a good touch.
Yeah, because they don't want to piss off Jon Moxley. You know what I mean? Like
Jon Moxley.
Because the whole idea is that he runs AEW.
Basically,
so, do you think the guy that runs AEW is going to let you talk to his wife like that? We all know they're married. There's no like, there's no like, oh, they're not married. They're not married. So if she would just remind people that are getting a little overhand, like when MVP's like, I don't want those problems yet. You know what I mean? Like, you know, not a check, but he takes a step back. Like, oh, that's not a problem I want right now.
Yeah, so, you don't want that.
No, because it just seems like really weird. As again, the sicko, you're like, Jon Moxley's running the place, but everybody's disrespecting his wife. How does that work?
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. Again, we're the people that think about this level of shit, though,
yes, you know. But as this great interview, MVP, master of his
Hurt Syndicate, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I'm so hyped that they're here, and I'm just like, literally, they're like I said, I'm so hyped to see them and Swerve, and just the way that the Hurt Syndicate can just be a dominant force. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they're going to be able to do so many cool things. And I've already been so excited with what we've seen with Shelton and Bobby being in there now. I mean, I'm hyped. I love that they're all here.
And I really want them to take, I don't know who would be, and I have really no idea, but a less established star to be that fourth member. You know, like, I could see Ricochet being that guy. I think it would help Ricochet, but I want it to be someone like an AEW. I wouldn't even call it like original or whatever.
I think wouldn't Hobbs make so much sense?
Hobbs makes sense. Hobbs makes almost too much sense. It almost is too much on the nose, but it seems like it should definitely be Hobbs.
It just seems like it would be something that would 1,000% work.
Yeah, and it's just like, because you Bobby Lashley is your singles guy, and you present Hobbs and Shelton Benjamin as a tag team. I'm in. I feel like, it makes a whole lot of sense though. I feel like it just, I don't know. Maybe it's too obvious. That's why they don't want to do it. Yeah. It's just,
I don't know, man. It just seems like too good. You got just the meatiest of the men beat the fuck out of everybody.
Dude, and the Hobbs looks like he does right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like best shape of his life. And it's just like, I don't know what's up with him and contract or anything, but whatever they have left, they should maximize it. You know, with him and have him on their TV as much as possible. It was like they had him out there with Will Ospreay, and then I watched Rampage tonight. I would have probably had him squash somebody on Rampage. I would probably have him getting a few matches under his belt.
I agree.
Just to really establish him as that dominant force that he is. But again, that's what I want to use Rampage for. I'm like, Rampage is where I'm building up the next guy. You know, that kind of thing. And it, like Rampage tonight, the first match was a banger. Last match was a banger. And there was this middle where it was just not interesting at all. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, Will Hobbs squash match would have worked perfect there. But yeah, when I look at the Hurt Business, MVP is on, he's on his shit. He's built for this role. Bobby Lashley is what Bobby Lashley needs. He works well with Shelton Benjamin. They're one of the most intimidating groups in wrestling in a company full of intimidating groups.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
MVP's just a really good talker. He talks people into the building for sure.
and it makes sense. He doesn't double talk. He doesn't know everything is like he has a plan.
Always. We then move over to the Death Riders super seizing, just the Superstation TBS seizing over. JD Drake gets the shit kicked out of him with a steel chair. Poor bastard, we haven't seen you in like months, years, I would say. And you just came to die. You were just sitting in catering, and then just all of a sudden they just murdered you, which is a shame. And then Marina Shafir forces a cameraman into the ring for Moxley to cut his promo. Mox talks about how he's been thinking about Orange Cassidy and how Chuck Taylor's been drinking food through a straw because you couldn't save him. Wheeler Yuta belongs to me because you couldn't save him. And he goes, you got a shot at the world title at Full Gear. You're as cool as a cucumber. So I got to make an example out of you because I'm going to brutalize you, stomp his face into hamburger meat. His own mother won't recognize him. And everyone will run and hide. We'll continue to do what we want because I have the AEW Championship and we have the power. Orange Cassidy comes out, basically says, I agree with you, John. I believe you can do all those things you say. It's because of what's in your briefcase, because you hold the symbol that represents AEW and everything that professional wrestling can be. You hold the AEW World Championship. We can fight all over the building, but it doesn't matter. The only way you become world champion is by wrestling. And for a guy that doesn't like wrestling, I tend to do a lot of it, and I'm pretty good at it because I did beat you. Remember that? And he said, I'm going to beat you at Full Gear, and I'm going to take the power back. You're a pawn, Wheeler Yuta. Next week, you and I are going to wrestle. I'm going to move that pawn. I'm going to remove the pawn that protects the king. And Mox agrees and says, we'll see if you have the guts to pull the trigger on someone you think is your friend. At Full Gear, I only have one message for you and anyone who thinks that they want what I have, abandon all hope. That's when John Moxley and everyone starts walking away. Darby Allin flies in, starts beating up everyone, and just starts fighting. Eventually, Moxley, they would leave in a pickup truck without Yuta, too. They leave Yuta behind. Darby then jumps into the back of the pickup truck. Claudio grabs him, then just throws him at the garage door and also starts to swing him to the point where he almost hits his head against the garage door, which almost looked vicious, and then throws him against the garage door. And that's when Wheeler does jump into the truck, and then the Death Riders run away. Okay. I will let you take this because I might have a controversial opinion, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to toss this first to you on your thoughts.
I thought it was a solid segment, but I got two things. I think OC's the wrong guy for this when you're trying to establish this Death Riders group. I think the reason being is OC should be the opposite of what John Moxley is. John Moxley is presenting himself as this calculated, cool, almost calm, I'm putting all these pieces in bait. I need a fiery baby face. I need someone that's fired up and is getting the crowd, and I'm defending AEW. But Orange Cassidy is coming out and doing these calm, calculated babyface promos.
Right.
And it's just like there's no excitement behind him. So, in this case, I think he might be miscast as the first guy to go after John Moxley.
I think that's a very fair statement. Because doesn't this seem a whole lot more like a John Moxley wants a serious, brutal match with Orange Cassidy?
Yes.
And he wants him to take it seriously, but Orange Cassidy isn't. And it should be Moxley should be going into a legit Hangman level psychotic rage that Orange Cassidy is not taking this seriously.
Yes.
But the fact is they've been pushing for Orange Cassidy to be much more of a serious wrestler and much more of one of the young guys that are going to be carrying AEW and one of the flagship guys that he is being calculated and he is being serious while still doing it in his own way.
Yeah. I'm supposed to.
So it's a weird thing, and I agree with you. It should not be Moxley's first thing for his world title, Death Riders, everything that he's doing, attacking the core of AEW and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, Orange Cassidy is one of those guys in AEW, but this seems way more like a middling one,
Yeah, and it's just I'm supposed to care. And I cared about this faction when they came out. And I loved everything they were doing, and I just don't care about watching Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step forward and get a little bit more controversial. I don't care about this group, personally. To me, it's just BCC with a different coat of paint. And maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just instead of it just being like, like we're a bunch of hardcore groups, it's supposed to have this also, we're taking over AEW and we're making the company bend to our will and doing whatever we want and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And I will say firmly, him feuding with Orange Cassidy as the first one isn't helping the fact.
Yeah.
If it was Darby from the jump, I think I would care a lot more, because obviously this spot is for Darby. It's just not time yet. We have to get further along before Darby becomes that guy. Because I said from the moment Jon Moxley cut that promo against Darby saying, you will never hold this championship, you will never be world champion, I'm like, Darby's going to beat Jon Moxley to become the world champion. And it's going to be the happiest moment for me, because that's my guy. From the moment this company was started, and from the first match I saw him against Cody, Darby Allin became my AEW flagship guy that I was constantly vouching for and said, he is my favorite AEW guy, no question about it. And I know that's what we're going towards. I know that's the end goal.
Yes.
I don't fucking care about this group, and it makes me upset because I should.
Yeah.
Because Moxley's promo, dude, I was falling asleep.
Yeah, wrestling, I mean, it's a handshake agreement. It's a cooperative, right? Heels to be heels need baby faces that people care about. Right? They do.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. I feel the same way about Chris Statlander when like people are like, oh, Mercedes Moné's title reign hasn't been hot. I'm like, what baby face have they built that people actually cared about and believed in?
Yeah. No, and again, too, when also it's a weird spot, too, because, I mean, people still love Jon Moxley because of how fucking cool he is, too.
Yes.
So Moxley isn't genuinely hateable, though.
Yes, you really need that good babyface. I even said it. Darby would probably be the best person for this role. And I even had this image in my head of, BCC doing their little camera videos, and they go to Sting's house and beat the shit out of him. So Sting can't come help Darby like he already does. And it's just like, they really need to do some more shit. It was even to a small thing of bringing out JD Drake. Who the fuck cares about JD Drake?
Yeah, I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad for JD Drake?
Yeah.
That's you seizing the Superstation TBS. You're supposed to be taking over the company, literally causing mayhem. Like,
yeah, they couldn't.
When you say something like seizing Superstation TBS, like controlling all that, when I hear something like that, I'm thinking Nexus level, we're causing havoc, ruining the show.
Why wasn't that Rocky Romero? Why wasn't it someone in the conglomeration?
Why wasn't it Chris Statlander? You tell me Marina Shafir couldn't have taken Chris Statlander and beaten the fuck out of her?
Yeah, or Willow would probably be someone that people love more.
Yeah, that would probably work a lot better. Yeah.
Yes,
but I mean, like, I'm talking about people that are attached to Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, it's just someone he loves. He's beating them up, and it's just like, I don't know. It just, like I said, it just feels like there's a lot of people in positions that they're just like, it just feels like a lot of miscasting going on right now.
Yeah, it just feels like, the concepts like are there, but the executions and the people that they are asking to execute is where I'm having my problems with this. I feel like Absolutely. I don't think the idea inherently is bad. I think it has the ability to get people to care. The way that things are going about it and the people that they put in place, dude, I'm telling you right now, I need fucking, like, I know what this is supposed to be. I know this is going to be Darby's time, and I'm going to be all about it. I am going to cheer from the mountaintops when Darby Allin becomes the AEW World Champion, and I will be the happiest man on the planet because there's nobody I feel like who deserves it more than Darby. But you have to make the journey there matter. And that includes the journey of the guy that he's supposed to knock off at the end of it all.
Correct.
You got to make his journey to be that mountain, that literal Mount Everest that Darby has to climb. You have to make it like tangibly like there. Yes. And I can't feel it with Moxley.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems I've had where it's like, I like Moxley a lot. It's one of the main reasons why he's never been my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Moxley, for the people that love Moxley, they love him. But if he's not your guy, he sometimes it doesn't come off well, and it sucks. And it's not like I don't like Moxley. I think Moxley, one of the better wrestlers in the world. It's just he needs someone kind of charismatic to bounce off of, and he doesn't. I did love during the brawl that Claudio Castagnoli, that stuff with Darby Allin and throwing him up against. I thought that was so cool, and now I want Darby Allin to go go after Claudio. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, yeah, him and Claudio, like that's a match, and that's a match I feel like because I'm pretty sure we've gotten that before, have we not?
Yeah, I believe
if we haven't. I will be stunned.
Yeah, I believe we have, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't remember it. But
I'm gonna confirm this for myself.
Yes,
because I need to make sure if these guys have wrestled before. Because I want to believe that they have. I am seeing I'm seeing headlines from Fightful saying he thought he broke a rib after Claudio tossed him into that thing. So let me see if confirming if they've wrestled before. They've wrestled each other in a tag match, I believe. Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Pac and Claudio. That was a match. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they've wrestled each other in a singles match, from what I've seen. Yeah, no, I don't believe they've wrestled each other in a singles match. So I believe this will be the first time that we've seen this match, and I'm fucking stoked for it, I think, if we get this match. So
yeah, we definitely get it. They announced it for Dynamite next week.
Yeah.
So we're definitely getting it.
There we go. We had a backstage segment where Chris Jericho accepted the challenge for Tomohiro Ishii to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship, which he'll be doing in 2 weeks' time. They'll be facing each other in Dynamite. So that's a thing. We'll move quickly over to the singles match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Penelope Ford. This bummed me out because this was an instance where just nothing was clicking. I felt like the one thing I will say was that I liked the finish. I liked the finish of the match. There's a point where Penelope had the Muda lock, but the counter into the lockjaw I thought was really well done. I thought that was like a little saving grace, but for the most part, it just didn't work. It was kind of sloppy, and like unfortunately, like again, Penelope Ford's one of those people where she's been gone for so long, and like it's very tough to be able to get her in a position where people are interested to see her. Like she's not in anything to really get people like hyped to see her wrestle at this point. There's just nothing that's been presented with us to get us invested, and that's unfortunate. Penelope Ford took the L to Britt Baker, who got the lockjaw on her, made Penelope tap out. And that's when Serena Deeb walks out and stares down Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Hey, you want to talk about a feud no one cares about.
And see, here's the fucking thing, too. I mean, man, when I tell you right now, here's the deal right now with me as well. Two things. One, God, I hate so much like how like Serena Deeb has basically become the Dolph Ziggler of AEW, where it's just like, we don't know what to do with you. We're going to put you in a feud with Serena. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And God, is this also just like, you're not pushing Britt. We're just back to not pushing Britt. And I do not understand what is the problem. Like, I understand there's like this weird thing, like after All In, people just did not like Britt, and there was a very visceral reaction from some fans towards Britt Baker. I don't understand it personally. I think Britt is still one of the top women in AEW and should be pushed as such because, I mean, literally first woman signed to AEW. I think that it's obviously overstated a lot, but I don't know, man. I just feel like, you know what could be going really well right now if Britt Baker needed something to really get going? I think her and Athena would be a really fucking awesome feud to have on Dynamite television, to give her something really, really big to propel her forward towards championship glory, trying to get back to that level, and would also give Athena the jumping off point to start off on Dynamite. Because I think, as much as I love how long she's been the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, I think her time there should be done. She should be doing stuff on Dynamite now. She should have graduated, basically. She should have been called up by now. That's me personally. Now, seeing Britt, now that she's used to me feuding with Serena, and I love Serena, but I mean, like, there's nothing there, and no one cares about Serena at this point. She has nothing going for her, and it just, it frustrates the hell out of me, man, because I just feel like there's so much better for Britt, and I think there's an easy opportunity right there if you just call up Athena, because it's not taking a spot, it's creating one. It's creating a feud right there that doesn't even have to be for a championship. If you want to put the Ring of Honor Championship on the line and put it on Dynamite, you can do that as well. I just don't understand why this is now the decision. It just feels like you brought Britt back and she's healed up and she's ready to go. And immediately after what happened at All In, we're just done with it. And I just feel like this is just not traditional of AEW. This is something I don't expect from these guys in terms of just like, when we're utilizing talent. Like, this just doesn't feel right. It feels very similar to what we've gotten in the past with the women's division. And like I said, in a time period where we have Mercedes Moné signed and some of the other talent that we have on this roster, I don't accept that as an excuse anymore. I've said it before. I'm tired of just like having to be like, well, but it's the women's division. What are you going to do? It's not an excuse anymore. And for Britt especially, I don't accept that in the slightest. You have to do better.
I agree. I really don't have anything to add to what you said, because in my thought process, I was just while you were talking, and I wanted to check on something, and I was just like, Britt and Jamie Hayter seem to be a hot group when Jamie got hurt. And I was just like, why haven't they been back together? Because Jamie feels like lost, and Britt, they both feel lost.
And I've heard that I've heard, and again, I have no idea about any of this.
Very quick Google search is that they had some kind of falling out, and they probably won't work together again.
That's what I've been reported on.
Unsubstantiated.
And here's what I'm going to say, too. People are going to get pissed off at me about it, too. But, oh, look, another instance in AEW where people just can't do business and we can't sit down and talk.
Yeah, so, like I said, it was a quick Google search. It said reported by Sean Ross Sapp, but the link that I saw wasn't Sean Ross Sapp. So I am not going to say it was Sean Ross Sapp that said it. I'm just saying, just quick Google search. I saw it, and I was just like, and with what I read and how they've been presented since Jamie Hayter's come back, and they've pretty much been far away from each other. I assume it's true, but maybe they just have different plans. And second of all, right now, Britt doesn't work as a face.
No.
They are doing a group on Collision and Rampage called the Vendetta with what is it? Oh, God, Taya Valkyrie and what's the other chick's name? God, Lord, why is the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo?
Yeah, Deonna Purrazzo.
I would like to see Britt join that group.
I mean, that's fair enough. Like, again, it's a direction, obviously.
And that's what I'm saying. She seems directionless. And there was this time where she could point her hands 3 times, and the whole world would scream DMD. And it just doesn't feel like that time.
Like I said, dude, it just seems like after All In, there was just this switch. And I never understood it. I don't understand it to this day of why there's just this switch. And again, is Britt a better heel? 1,000%. But she's still one of the faces of the women's division, and I just don't understand this mindset.
My problem with Britt has always been she was heel, and people started cheering her. They started making her act babyface instead of just letting her keep being who she was as a heel. And it's just, but her whole thing, the mandible claw, the taking the glove off, her whole presentation works better on a heel.
1,000%.
I mean, it just doesn't. It just, and I think that's what it comes back. And then again, when you have a bad match with Mercedes Moné, which is what a lot of people consider the match at All In, guess whose fault it is?
Sure. No, and like I said, I understand the way that people act with Mercedes Moné. I understand, and I'm not trying to go after her either. Like,
no, it's not.
Very frank about it.
And I'm not going after Mercedes Moné.
No.
What I'm saying is a fact. When you have a match that is not well received with Mercedes Moné, you get blamed.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the person is with Mercedes Moné is not doing it. She's not coming out talking shit about people or anything. No. But if you watch Twitter and watch things, what I'm saying is just the fact. You get blamed for it.
Correct.
So it's like what happened after All In? Their match wasn't well received. Mm-hmm. And because Mercedes Moné is who Mercedes Moné is, it obviously was Britt's fault. And,
sure, yeah.
That was the perception that was presented on Twitter. I want to let you know that is not my opinion.
I agree.
I enjoyed the match. The person won, but I've always liked Britt's presentation better as a heel. And I just think that's where she needs to be. And there's a heel group that, honestly, those two people in the group, it's kind of a mid-card heel faction. I think you add Britt Baker with Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie. That's a main event women's heels faction.
I think it's very fair. So I think, like I said, I'm not turning down that idea.
And if
I'm
they
not turning down that idea.
And if they pick someone like Willow or, pick someone to go after, I think you can really get some heat behind them.
I agree as well. But all I'll say, once again, on the matter is we have a literal fucking step-by-step fucking manual of what not to do when wrestlers in your company have issues backstage. Don't fucking follow the same goddamn blueprint again, is all I'm saying.
Dude.
Obviously, I don't know anything, and I'm not trying to tell you how to run your company. But if this is a thing, like I said, I don't know anything. But if this is a thing, fucking sniff it out and stomp it out before it gets any worse.
And but
I can't deal with this shit again.
How do you stomp it out? It's like unfortunately AEW, being who they are one of the more criticized companies in the world. And let's say they make people work with each other, right? And then it gets out that you're making them work together. I'm
not even saying that. Like, all I'm saying is I need Tony Khan to get in front of a microphone and say, I had an opportunity for them to get into a room and solve their differences. They chose not to.
Yeah. So
that's all I need. A statement that you tried is all I need. I'm not asking you to literally have them sit down and have tea with each other and have a full-on fucking Dr. Shelby moment where they have to solve their differences and then go and graduate from fucking anger management class. I'm not asking for that. Just fucking try, because you didn't try the first time. I know you didn't because I saw how it went down. That's all I'm asking for. It's literally the thing that got me most frustrated. I don't want the same instance of repeating the same mistakes that could have been solved fucking 2 years ago. All I'm saying, and I'm going to move past it because I'm not trying to make the whole show about this either. And there's still more stuff that we got to get to from Dynamite. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Because then we followed up with the best moment of the show, which was Mina Shirakawa. Oh, everybody wants Mina. I want Mina. And we got Mina. And she talked about how she was excited for Mariah's match that she's going to have on Collision. Harley Cameron pops out, immediately challenges her to a match on Collision.
She almost popped out. No, I'm just kidding.
No. And how do we get people to watch Collision? Oh, I see. Here's Mina Shirakawa and Harley Cameron. And they like to do, let's just say they like Eddie Guerrero a lot. And they like doing the Viva La Raza shake just a little bit. And man, when I say Collision was my show from the moment it was the inception of Collision, it's still my show because I got Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May and Harley Cameron all on the same show, and I was just like, this is my show. Like, listen, Tony Khan knows what I want, knows that Collision he makes for me, and he can't make it for me for the original reason why it was made, so he's making it for the reason why now. Like, literally, I was dying when they were doing the fucking shake. I was dying. It was so fucking funny, and like, I don't care, man. Like, people could say it's cheap or whatever. It was amazing. I don't care. Like, it was so spectacular. I can't. I don't know what else to say. It was no joke. Like, it's not my favorite part of the show. Like, but jokingly, it is my favorite part of the show.
Yes. I thought this was well done. I thought if you heard Brian Alvarez's, if you saw his little video clip of his reaction, I mean, he perfectly illustrated it because everybody played their roles so perfectly.
Yes.
And Harley Cameron is just someone I want on my TV all the time. Tonight on Collision, she played the guitar live on the show.
Hell yeah.
And she sang a little bit. And it was hilarious. She was so Harley. And I always say, I mean, she's kind of AEW's version of Lady R-Truth. So
a little bit. Like I said, I love just the way that she's taking it, and she's like her videos that she's posted on social media of like her backstage stuff. Like I don't give a fuck. It's entertaining, and I think she's doing a really good job. Is her wrestling ability not to where it needs to be? Sure, you could say that, but I don't give a fuck, man.
No, I mean, I will tell anybody this when it comes to wrestling. Are they pushing her as world champion?
No.
Yeah, okay. She for what she does, she
does it well.
Yeah, she is perfectly fine for what she does. Tit for tit. Let the breast woman win.
Let the breast woman win.
Yes, I thought that was, and it was just how she does it. Her eyes, her inflections on everything is just perfect. It was this little 1 minute segment that everybody was talking about the next day because Harley Cameron was in it. So. Yes, she's really good.
Yeah. We then moved on to Swerve Strickland versus Lio Rush. And yeah, to me, this was the best match of the show. Like, it just works really well. I thought there was a really nice just ability of just Lio still being able to get some shit in, even though, like, I mean, Swerve's towering over him, but it doesn't matter. I love the way they were just bouncing around to the outside, all this stuff that they're able to do. Got the crowd on their feet, was able to get the crowd kind of woken up a little bit for the most part. But
Leo's attitude progression was huge.
Yes.
It was huge seeing him try to cheat a little bit more, taking a few more shortcuts, trying to show that he's ready to join the Hurt Business. And like, I don't know if he's going to be the fourth guy. And I think he'd be perfect for the fourth guy. But I think there's another role for him too, as the guy that wants to be the fourth guy that gets rejected. I think there's another role there too for him, and I think that could work. So we're going to see where this goes. I thought this match was great. Like I said, it should have been the first match on the show for me because it had that old school AEW first match energy. And then afterwards, Swerve gets the win, and I even love the transition and win. And then they had that spot on the outside where he kind of flipped over and they stared at each other, which, Swerve stumbled a little bit on it. But to me, let me tell you, I like a stumble. I like it. To me, it makes wrestling look less choreographed.
Right, and that's the thing that would have been the immediate critique when it comes to Lio Rush wrestling with Swerve.
Yes, it makes it look less choreographed when you have a stumble, you have an imperfection. It makes it look like I was just doing this in that moment, so of course it didn't come off perfectly. So, no, I thought that was well done. Lio Rush, dude, athletically, one of one. I've said that before. Like, no one wrestles like Lio Rush. No one moves like Lio Rush. Dude, Lord just wishes that man was like 5'9". You know what I mean? Like, I just think he's like one of the best wrestlers in the world if he's like 5'9". He's presented that way. So, I thought this match was really well done. And, what happened afterwards was perfect.
Yeah. So, finish comes with a match of Lio Rush grabs the ropes, basically, but Nana helps the ref spot it. Swerve avoids the Rana and then hits the big pressure on Leo to get the win. Swerve then gets on the mic going like, it seems like everyone gets the bright idea that now that I'm back, they just want to come for the baddest man in AEW and the former world champion. Leo Rush just tried. He just failed. A couple of weeks ago, Shelton Benjamin tried to make a name off of my name. He lost too. And he goes to Bobby Lashley. He says, 1 week from Saturday, we got Full Gear. I feel like we got to fight tonight, though, so bring your ass out here. MVP walks out with Bobby Lashley and goes, Swerve, if you want to fight a member of this Hurt Syndicate, all you have to do is ask, and I'll set it up for you. The reason why we recruited you is because you have so much unrealized potential. Bobby Lashley is ready to fight right now, so we don't got to wait 2 weeks, but there's a lesson for you to learn, is that there's strength in numbers, and you going to learn tonight. And Shelton Benjamin then jumps Swerve from behind. Lashley then proceeds to get Swerve and just beats the fuck out of him. DDT from Shelton, MVP holding back Nana, making him watch. Eventually, Lashley's got the hurt lock in or the full Nelson. The MVP then chokes out Nana with his cane, and then Lashley then proceeds to throw Nana out of the ring as well. Hurt Business just making themselves known. Hurt Syndicate making themselves known.
And I want to point out to this because I point out stupid baby faces all the time. Swerve is not a stupid baby face. Swerve is arrogant as fuck.
Yes.
He thinks he can take all three of them by himself.
1,000%.
This is not stupid babyface. This is arrogant. He thinks he's the most dangerous man in professional wrestling.
He is a guy who literally got a needle stuck through his mouth and was able to still stand after the day too. So he's dealt with a lot of shit.
Yes,
so.
He's the most dangerous person in professional wrestling. He is not scared of the 3 of them. He's not scared of the 5 of them. If they had 12, he would not be scared of the 12 of them. He would think he could take all 12 out. That is what's different about Swerve's presentation. It's very much a Stone Cold Steve Austin 90s presentation where it wasn't that Steve Austin was scared of stupid. He's just ready. He just wants to fight all of you.
He would fight 20 people in a single room.
Yes, and that's who he is. And I just wanted everyone to know that is, if you don't hear me bitching about Swerve having stupid babyface thing, it's because his whole idea is that he's fearless. He's not right in the head. He thinks he can take out Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP at the same time, and not sweat a moment because he is him. He is that dude.
Yes, no question about it. Jamie Hayter quickly gets interviewed backstage saying she's going to continue to do what she said she's going to do, righting some wrongs. For the right now, she's thinking about coming after one thing, but that's when the lights go out, and that's where Julia Hart appears. This is a continuation of what happened on Collision this past week. She wakes up from a dream. There's a ringing telephone. She picks it up, and it's Brody King and his voice telling Julia to come home, and another voice said it was time to wake up. So we're continuing to tease back to the return of Julia Hart. I got to say, too, from last week's Collision, I loved her video package of her with her doing her cheerleading stuff on the football field, and then the whole House of Black version of her is in the stands and does the video work of it, the editing. Shouts out because I thought it was super creative. I liked how it was done. This was another continuation off of that, but specifically that one that was on Collision, I thought was incredibly well done and got me hyped for the return of Julia Hart. So just want to give a shout out to that because I like really well produced stuff like that, and it turned out really well, I felt like. And I'm hyped for Julia to come back too. So
me too, and I just loved the whole idea that it was Brody on the line calling her home, but there was nobody connected to the. I just thought that was such a cool video.
That's horror movie shit stuff. Like,
yes,
I love that.
This great.
Also, can I also say too? It ties into the main event, obviously. I loved how when she did her video package on Collision, it immediately wiped into the video package for the fucking Outrunners.
Yes.
That shit killed me. Moving on, main event, the 4-way contender series between FTR and the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black. On Collision, of course, we had the first team to make it into the 4-way for the shot at the new AEW World Tag Team Champions Private Party. The Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum, defeated Top Flight to get the first spot. This is for the next spot. It's between the Kings of the Black Throne and FTR. I'm going to let the man over here, the FTR man, take full control of this as well. FTR Express is going to go ahead and just go into this match and the outcome of it. And I feel like you and me will probably have the same feeling about where we go from here after you get your thoughts on this match. But I want to let you take center stage on this.
Dude, okay. So this is, if you've heard me before, this is one of my dream matches. We've gotten it on Collision, but, when these four people getting along, Kings of Back to their own, I've always said they would have been AEW Tag Team Champions at some point already if it was up to me. So they're right there as one of my favorite acts when they're together. I just think their visual, everything about them is intimidating. FTR, greatest tag team of all time. Y'all know how I feel. So we get this match, and it has a very, very aggressive, familiar feeling from the very beginning of the match. Just very hard hitting. But the idea is that the House of Black is, to me, one step ahead of the FTR, and FTR is trying to balance it out. So in the match, you see, especially on the outside where they do the duck and then the clothesline, you start seeing a little bit of the old FTR come out. The cracks showing in their Hey, you saw a little bit of the heel FTR. So little heel antics. They did the pose with Malachi, and I was just like, oh, they're coming. Oh, they're coming. And I've been saying this for a year and a half now, so this feels like the TV deal. That's what it feels like at this point. It feels like the TV deal where I say it's coming and then it's not coming. But I see what I want to see. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So in this case, very aggressive match. They hit they get in and they hit Brody King with the Shatter Machine, and they couldn't flip him over. I love that. Oh my God, you don't understand. I popped for that like a big move had happened because Brody King is massive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you knock him out and get him on dead weight, I don't know if you know how hard it is to move a 300-pound person dead weight. It's pretty fucking difficult. So the idea that it took them so long to flip him over that he was able to kick out. Oh man, that was perfect. They hit the spike pile driver on the outside on the apron with Malachi Black. It pretty much looked like FTR was going to win. And then here comes the House of Black. And then what happens is you get Brody King in the middle of the ring with Dax, and Brody King is a very large human. He hits a clothesline that you literally could have just did the 1, 2, 3 on that clothesline if you wanted to, because Brody King's so big. But then he gets him in that chin lock sleeper and he dangles him because he's huge, and he dangles him, and Dax is out. It was this little moment there, and I don't know if it happened. It looked like it was like the ref didn't know that was supposed to be in the match. Like she almost checked with Dax. He's like, yeah, to ring the bell kind of thing. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. It looked like it happened on the screen. It looked like they were communicating, and then they rang the bell, and it was very anticlimactic, and it was just dominant. And again, I've said this before on the show, and I'm always like the leader of the FTR Defense Squad. I never want to fucking hear again that these dudes won't lose. In the last year, man, they got dominated at home by Moxley and Claudio. Then they just lost to the House of Black. And they've lost before. They lose all the time. I don't want to hear this shit. Okay? Mm-hmm. I think it was the right call, personally, with the House of Black. I especially if you're going to try to establish them as a tag team, giving them a big win on Dynamite over FTR establishes them as a top tag team. So I'm happy with that. They've helped get the Outrunners established as a top tag team. They're in there. So I like what we have. We're gonna have a fatal 4-way with, depending on what happens on Collision, it could be 4 fresh tag teams fighting for the tag team titles.
And I will say right now too, I will be firmly okay with it as well. This is what I want, firmly. Like I think this is what I need for Full Gear, like the match itself, and I have a pretty good feeling that you'll probably agree with me on this. What I need is I obviously this doesn't take into account whoever the fourth team is going to be in this match, but I need the match to go on with the Outrunners in position to win the tag team championships, in position to win them, and then FTR fucks them over.
Correct.
That's what I need. I think that is where I'm at right now, because obviously I love the Black Throne. I love the House of Black. I love Brody and Malachi, and it's awesome they're in this match. But I'm right there with Floyd. I mean, like, we rock with FTR all the way. And we both, I mean, he especially has agreed with this way more than me. But I am on his side still with this as well. These boys wear black caps, and they are best when they wear those black caps. And we have been dying for FTR to go back to their heel ways because we feel like they've just been in this area of just being like, oh yeah, FTR, yeah.
I'm telling you, as soon as they make the turn,
you're gonna be insufferable.
For All In Arlington, them boys is getting black Stetsons delivered to their house. I mean, delivered to the backstage. We wear black hats, baby. I love FTR, and I love heel FTR, and I love face FTR. But I fell in love with heel FTR. I didn't know there was a face FTR because they were never face.
Never.
They were never face. So it was a great run, and I liked it. Was weird, people cheering for them and loving them and going, dun, 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 you know, when they were doing the music. That was weird as fuck. I need them to break legs again. I need them to bust kneecaps again. And I don't, like I said, I'm happy about the Kings of Black Throne. What I want to see out of this group, for me, is in the Fatal 4-Way, somehow the Kings of the Black Throne and Private Party end up like as the last two, and it sets up for them to have a feud with each other. Because
I think that'd be cool.
I don't know if Kings of Black Throne are going to be tag team champions, but you need a team to establish Private Party as the best team. So whatever you're going to do with them, you need. Winston is not.
Yeah, Winston's right with us too. He's been screaming about how much we want heel FTR as well.
I mean, his face looks just like Dax. It's like looking at Dax every day. So I definitely understand that. But yeah, I'm in this weird position. What FTR is my favorite tag team, and this is why I'll tell everyone I will fan different than most people because I don't necessarily need them to win every match. Mm-hmm. I want them to be in important things that make a difference and all that kind of stuff. So in this particular case, the only thing that upset me is that I am going to Full Gear with Jackie, and I really wanted us to have an FTR match to go to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so no, that was the one thing that upset me about this, but it's just like it was the right call. I mean, ultimately it was the right call because FTR, I don't know how they're going to do it. They do need a different presentation right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. So, but that is going to do it with our Dynamite review from this week. Like I said, pretty solid show for the most part. I definitely had some true heavy critiques about it, but regardless, I think it was good. Crowd could have been better, which would have made it a lot better. But solid enough show. Real quick, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give a preview going forward for Collision, obviously, which taped on Thursday in Albany. So we're going to have Harley Cameron versus Mina Shirakawa. Yes. Johnny TV will face Daniel Garcia. And then the Full Gear 4-Way Contender Series will have the final team added into the tag team 4-Way for the tag titles. La Facción Ingobernable versus off against the Acclaimed. And then finally, we have the AEW Women's World Championship on the line in a no DQ rubber match between Mariah May and Anna Jay.
Yes. Looks like it's going to be an exciting show. I am going to be really looking forward to in-between stuff, like the different segments they shot. I don't read the spoilers for Collision. I just flat out, avoid them. When I know it's going to happen on Thursday, anything with Collision is muted until Saturday when I watch the show. So I literally have no idea what happened. I assume Anna Jay's not going to win. That's the only thing I can say. I doubt they're going to make Anna Jay the AEW Women's World Champion, but I am going to look forward to it. I'm just hoping they have a banger of a match. And so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
And then, of course, for next week on Dynamite, the two matches that have been announced, Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli.
Yes, that is. Definitely Like, are they like top tier matches? Not really. Darby Allin and Claudio, yes, that could make it in any show, anytime. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see that in the Continental Classic or whatever. I think Darby might be on two bigger things to get in the Continental Classic, but that would be awesome if he was. So yeah, I'm looking for an all-star lineup there. But yeah, looking forward to Collision next week. We were going to go over the Full Gear match so card, but we're gonna just save that for next week for our full go preview, because there's no reason to talk 15 minutes about something we're gonna talk about for about 30 minutes next week. So, but yeah. Yeah, I think that's it so far.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so, I mean, there's only a couple other things real quick to talk about. First of all, in terms of additional news that we wanted to mention, we got Speedball Mike Bailey, seeming like he's going to head to AEW according to Fightful Select.
Yeah.
Which is
controversial. Controversial. Yeah. Not a fan.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, okay, well, I mean, we'll see.
Like, I don't like his look. I've seen him have great matches. But yeah, I hate his look so much. Like, I hate it. Like, I irrationally hate his look. Like, I'm talking about. I'm not at that
level, but I will tell you right now, I'm like, okay, we'll see.
The barefoot with kick pads and the mullet. It's just like yuck. Sorry. I'm like, you know me. I don't go at people like that. No. I just like, no. I have a visceral. Like, every time I see Speedball Mike Bailey, not wanting him on my screen anymore. And I am the first person to say he's an exceptional pro wrestler. Something about his presentation I don't want to see. I don't know why. I wish him a blessed sign. I hope they use him to the best ability. He becomes the greatest star ever. Just never going to be for me.
Right, yeah, I get that. I will wait and I'll be in the wait and see camp. I don't know too much about him, so we'll see how that shapes out if he does go to AEW.
And like I said, that's kind of how I felt about Darby when I initially.
I was just saying, we'll see if he goes, because that's the thing. You hated Darby's look, and then you flipped a whole different level on him after you saw him more and more.
So understand one thing about me: I do allow myself to change my mind. But I'm telling you, at this point, on November 16th, when we're recording the show, this is how I feel about Mike Bailey.
There you go. And then the last little bit was an interesting one about AEW Collision and what's going to be happening in December. Floyd, do you want to go into that?
Yeah, AEW will be in partnership with GalaxyCon Columbus. So on Saturday, December 7th, at the Greater Columbus Convention Center, you'll be able to watch Collision as a part of GalaxyCon Columbus. Tickets for the event go on sale today, Saturday, November 16th at 2. And I actually, I'm a con person. I go to cons quite a bit. And I hope they do this more. I hope this works out. Hope they get good attendance. And I hope they do this more, because it just seems to go together at this con. Just some of the names that are going to be there: Hayden Christensen, Weird Al Yankovic,
Weird Al,
George Takei, Gina Carano, Ernie Hudson, Logic, the rapper Logic is going to be there in Columbus, Ohio. No, I don't understand that one, but and it looks like pretty much the whole freaking cast of Cobra Kai, and So I just say that definitely, if you're in the area, go check it out. If I had more time, I would probably be going to Columbus and spending an exceptional amount of money on the show. But thank goodness I don't have time.
Though, too, the one thing I will say too about this was originally supposed to be at Nationwide Arena in Columbus, same date. They just canceled it, and now it's going to be part of the con. So did they say those tickets go towards the con, or you're just allowed to basically buy them again?
I think you're allowed to buy them again.
Because they're going to refund, and then you're just going to be able to buy them again. So
yes, but okay. I mean, but GalaxyCon's a great show. I went to the one in Oklahoma City this year, and it was really fun. They have a lot of your famous voice actors. I wonder if they're gonna, I imagine they're gonna integrate AEW wrestlers into some of the meet and greets, because I
would think so.
Right now they don't have they don't have wrestlers there. Dude, I'm so annoyed. Michael J. White's doing meet and greets. I am a huge Michael J. White fan.
Logic's gonna be there?
Yes, the rapper Logic. Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, and Phil Dunster from fucking Ted Lasso's going to be there.
There you go.
Oh, man, I'd be hyped to go there. See him.
Yes, like I said, if I had more time, because I'm already going to Full Gear and World's End. I was like, yeah, I might have skipped World's End and decided to go to this, but I didn't, just like, I just found out about it. So, like, less than a month. So, flight tickets weren't that cheap.
Yeah.
So, but no, Dad, I thought that was really cool. Hope they do it more. GalaxyCon works all over the country. They definitely do like Charlotte and Raleigh and Carolina.
Stephen Glickman's gonna be there. Fucking big time Rush.
I don't.
Oh
know.
my God, that's my childhood.
I have no idea who that is. So,
dude.
Yes.
Fucking Gustavo Rock.
Yes.
You better recognize.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know exactly who you. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And Charles Martinet and John DiMaggio. God damn, man. Holy shit, they've got some legit big hit.
GalaxyCon loads it up.
No kidding. The voice actors they've got are stacked up.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
that's crazy. Oh, Sydney would flip about the fucking, I don't know the name of the show, but there's some voice actors from Has Been Hotel. She loves Has Been Hotel. She loves that. So she'd go crazy for all. Man, they're all fucking there. God damn.
So
I'm sorry. I'm going down the rabbit hole of all this shit
that doesn't seem like a very far from y'all, is it?
It's not. I think we might be in New York though. Is the only problem. I think. Let me check. Yeah, I think we might actually be in New York during the No, it's the week before. So we could, but it's in December and it's during the weekend too. I mean, it'd be pretty tough to make happen. But regardless, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'd be able to make something happen.
So you're in the Ohio, Indiana, Michigan area, man. Definitely go ahead and check it out. I'm really excited because it's combining two of the things I love. Comic-Cons and wrestling. Like, I like wrestling cons, but Comic-Cons are always allows me to delve into my other interests that are not wrestling. But when they have wrestlers at the Comic-Cons, it's always great. So it looks like that's gonna turn out well. So I'm really excited about that. And I hope it's a big turnout because I hope it ends up leading to, because we got GalaxyCon Oklahoma City next year in May. Hope it leads to, GalaxyCon, having AEW there for it. So, yeah, they should definitely look into doing that more. Definitely, that would help with Collision, especially with attendance, trying to sell. Having it tied to other events would be great.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty smart thing, too. And wrestling fans already love cons, so I think it's easy to, if you have a partnership and you make it happen, I think it works hand in hand, I feel like. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of All Things Elite. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. You can support us by downloading the show on YouTube Music or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever the choice you guys listen to us on. We appreciate it. And share us around with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Rate, review, subscribe. Also, buy our merch. We got merch. We got t-shirts. You should buy them. Link is in the description of this podcast. We'd love it if you'd support us that way and rock a shirt. Be super cool. Tweet us if you do get one.
Dude, let me tell you. If you buy a ticket to a show, you wear All Things Elite shirt, and you get taught on TV, whatever your ticket costs, I'll pay for it. That's simple. That's not even a contest. That's just me flat out saying it. You wear you buy All Things Elite shirt, you get caught on TV with it, I will pay for your ticket and the shirt.
Boom, like that. And then, of course, follow us on Twitter at ATElitePod, at Social Suplex. Make this show possible. Check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. I got nothing else left for you, so my buddy Floyd's going to take us home for this episode of All Things Elite.
Yes. Thank you all for bearing with us. Austin was out of town last week, so we didn't do a show. But we're back with this week, and we'll be here again next week as we preview Full Gear, because I'll be in with Jax, my girl Jax, to the hair to my bald Jax. We'll be in New Jersey. We're going to tear it up. Hopefully I don't have to sleep with the fishes. I don't run into no Sopranos when I'm out there. No, but we're going to have a really good time. Eat some White Castles, go all around. So I just say this to me. Today I went with my sister, and unfortunately best friend passed away. Her best friend happened to be 90 years old, but her best friend passed away. And, I always get into funerals and, and you just get to reflecting on your life and stuff. And I'm just like, just tell people how you feel about them. Tell them that you love them or whatever. Don't tell them that I only want you to tell people how you feel about them if it's positive. I don't want you to be like, you know what? I always hated you. No, don't do that. No, just make sure people know how you feel about them, that you love them, that you appreciate having them in your life, because we don't share those words enough. You think people know, but a lot of times people only know if you tell them. So take your time. Take your time out of your day to tell them people how much you love them, how much you appreciate them, how much you root for them. Because I do think if they are your friends and you love them, you're rooting for them in everything that they do. So make sure you do that. And with that, I leave you how I always leave you. Whether it is home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.